Welcome to my course on the LMS Schoology. This particular learning management system is designed to be used for a wide variety of students in a diversity of environments. Schoology would absolutely be suitable for workplace or community-based classes. The system has some support features, and there's also information online. I found some videos when I needed some in the beginning, but most of the time I was able to figure things out by tinkering. There were some aspects that were more intuitive than others. Certainly if this was being used and if I was using this in the real world environment, there were a couple of things that I probably would have spent some more time on to really get a better handle on. But overall, I think it would certainly meet all the basic needs that you might have in that workplace or community-based setting. What I will do is I thought I would go through based on the major assignments that we did each week throughout the course. Of course, we started the first couple of weeks just figuring out what LMS would work for us and getting that set up. Then the next major assignment that we did was creating our summative assessments. And I did that by using the tools that are in the LMS. And this worked out pretty well for me. I created a couple of quizzes. This one has been completed, but it'll give you an idea. So I had questions with true, false, fill in the blank. And you had various options. There were various options whether or not the student should see the correct answer, whether or not they should see their score, how many times they could take it, whether it was timed. So you had a wide variety of options there to really customize it to your needs. The interesting thing that I learned this week when we were doing the quizzes is just how difficult it is to create that quiz. You know, you've got to create a question that elicits the answer that you want, and that can be difficult. But it was a great learning assignment, and I enjoyed it. And the LMS tool worked really well. The next main assignment that we did was creating a rubric. And here again, I used the tools that are in the LMS. Clicked on the wrong one here. Individual assignment. So this tool, in the LMS worked out really well. It allowed me to select my criteria. It allowed me to determine the grading scale, and I could fill in all the criteria that I wanted to. It also had the feature of being able to save the criteria either individually or the rubric as a whole, or you could import criteria. So if you had criteria that was matching your learning objectives on another document, they could be imported, and then you could actually use that same verbiage in your rubric. So in some cases that might be very helpful, especially in a very organized setting, or even in some workplace settings. If you were looking to make sure, you wanted to document that you had trained somebody according to OSHA standards or FDA standards, that you could use the exact verbiage in the criteria that is from the regulation, and then you could really determine whether or not you had met that. So there would certainly be some advantages just to using that tool. This was not particularly fun, but it was very useful. The other thing we did, the next thing we did, and I'm also going to use a sample here from week 4, is we created course content that was non-lecture based. So this was had to be a little creative, and I tried something new here. I actually used a tool called PictoChart and created this graphic. It has links, it has a video, it has images that are actually things that would be examples of the of primary sources, whether it's documents or photographs, memorabilia, recordings. All of those things certainly would be source documents. Of course, not all of them would be suitable for every academic assignment, but there's a place for all of them. This was creating this was one of my favorite assignments this term. It allowed some creativity, and it was great practice. I ended up using this same tool to prepare a visual report for my internship, and because these slides, they can also be formatted as slides and converted to a PowerPoint. So you can have this long connected, you could have smaller pages that you could print if you wanted to make posters or flyers or that sort of thing. And you can also then convert them to slides. So that would be very helpful, particularly if you were looking to do some sort of branding and you wanted to have a presentation and you wanted to have images in your presentation that matched maybe the flyers that you had posted, or images on a handbook cover or that sort of thing. You could do all of that there. The next big thing that we worked on was our interactive content. And here I used a program or a tool called QuizWorks. And I actually put it here in my week 1 and called it a welcome game. And my questions, and I'm not sure if it's going to let me enter this here, but you come into this game and you get to select the correct answer. So I used questions that would have prompted the student to look at the course materials. So taking information from the objectives was one of mine. After completing this course, one of the things you will be able to do is spell all words correctly, of course. Oh, no, maybe not. And then MLA stands for mysterious legal argument. Oh, nope, not that either. So here again, this tool was really fun. It had some options as to whether or not you were going to see the correct answer. If you got it wrong, and now I scored 0, but you could have a higher score. There's also an option to have other scores here so you could play against your classmates. That might not always be advantageous. I took that out. I had some feedback saying that it might be stressful to have that there. And the purpose of this was really not for competition, but for familiarizing yourself with the material. It's still kind of fun to play the little game and have the little animated bars. And there were other activities as well on that site. I picked one that was pretty easy to do, again, because we always had that 3-hour limit. The next big task that we took on was completing our module overviews. And here is where I had that sinking feeling and the questioning of myself as to why I went from 5 modules from last term's work to 10 weeks for this term, because it was cumbersome to make all the overview pages and so forth. But I did do that, an overview page with a topic overview, learning objectives, a task list, the reading and other learning resources, and the assignments for each week. And then our final big project was actually using the content that we had created on each and interacting as a group. And that was pretty fun as well. It enabled us to try out the discussion areas, submit assignments, respond to assignments, see how they were going to show up in the grade book, and that sort of thing. So here I'm going to pull up the students' grades. So this is the view of the students' grades. So for the student view, they get to see what assignment they had completed. They could see if there's comments, what they submitted. It's for them, I think it's a pretty friendly format. I'm thinking if it was me, would this be pretty friendly? Yes, I think I would like this pretty well, just because everything's all in one place and pretty easy to navigate. The grading information, and here's that same student, and this is from the teacher's view, is still pretty clear. You know, I'm able to see here their assignment. I can see what message I might have given them, what's their grade, do I have an exception code. So I have a lot of options to do. I can actually go back and view the interaction from that page, which is helpful. So there's a lot of options there, and that makes for a pretty easy flow, I think, both for the instructor and for the student. So the final thing that I did was to try and tighten up my course information and overview, this Start Here section, and included some instructor information and communication policy, so a little bit about myself, some contact information, and incorporated a question and answer discussion for general questions that students might have. So this section here is also where I would put a course syllabus or course schedule, that sort of thing. So all the basic information that they might need. I would probably also include here for this course perhaps even a list of resources. So some basic websites that they might use for basic grammar help, or you know, some textbooks that might be helpful, or some articles on writing. So there could be some things there, some basic resources, not too heavy with information, because I think any specific information I would put in with the course, but maybe a few sources that might be general to put in this area as well. So I think that's it. This has been a lot of work and a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to do it. Of course, this is you know, still an example of my work. It's certainly not at the final stages, but what I've learned absolutely through this class and others is that we're never quite at the final stage. There's always more revisions that could be done. There's always more that we could do to make it better, and we should be doing that, because each group of students is going to be different. We're going to be different. The environment's going to be different. So we need to constantly be aware to tweak and to change and to adjust so that we can do our best work and get the best work from our students. That's all for now, and we'll see what happens next term. Goodbye, all.